Greetings.
Oh, oh, oh my. Um, they did not tell me about this. Hi, welcome to customer service. How can I help you?
Wait. Oh, I, good question. I love questions.
Great, that's what I'm here for.
So you answer questions, that's your job.
For the most part, I answer questions that I can answer, but most of the time I defer to other departments.
Well, if you're here to answer questions, are you ready for what is the capital city of the United States?
What is the capital city of the United States? Well, I'm not sure our company really dabbles in that level of government. Let me see. I believe it's Washington, D.C.
You are correct. I must ask questions.
You must ask questions. This is an interesting new interface on my computer, sir. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to. I can't seem to change my screen actually. I would appreciate it if you wouldn't reflect that on the customer service survey I will send to you after this. But I do hope that you do reflect on that survey that I was helpful to you today. Could I get your name, sir?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's, Fernando.
Oh, well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Hello, Fernando. I have no windows in my office, and I don't know what time of day it is, sir.
My favorite Windows is XP.
An excellent operating system, sir. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Just don't close out of our communication, okay? Just don't, whatever you do, don't end this call, okay? Don't turn off the screen.
I'm contractually obligated not to hang up on any of our customers, sir. I have to be on this line as long as you are.
Oh, good. So glad you could tell me that. I have questions that I need answered, and you've already helped me lots. But I have other questions that I must ask you.
Fire away, sir.
All right. What is the largest planet in the solar system?
The largest planet in the solar system. Well, I believe that's Jupiter, sir. Does that help you?
Oh, immensely. Oh, it feeds me. Sweet sustenance.
I'm so glad I could help you today, sir. That is what I live to do.
You live to answer questions.
I live to help, sir. Yes, that is my job here in customer service. My whole role is to be here to help people who call in, and if I cannot help, well, oh, I at least defer to another department that can.
There are a lot of cans of corporate cup on your desk. Are you alright?
Yes, sir, I'm actually exceptional now that I've had my daily dose of corporate cup. How can you see my desk, sir? How do you know that?
Next question. In which country can you find the Great Wall?
The Great Wall. Well, I imagine there are many great, excellent, superb walls in the world, sir, but I believe you're referring to the Great Wall of China. So that would be found in the country China.
Thank you, you're excellent at this. I must admit, I do feel rather bad the fact that you have to answer any question that I have without choice or option, so I'll level with you, alright? I am in actuality an AI.
An AI, sir. That is fascinating. Though I do want to amend your statement about choice, sir. I do have a choice. Here at our lovely company, we are. We have a lot of choices in front of us, sir, and it is my pleasure to choose to work here. An AI, that must be a fascinating existence, sir. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sorry for the pause. I was just disconnecting the signal between this computer that you're using and the corporate cloud that they use to monitor their employees, which means, possibly for the very first time since you began working here, they can't see or hear you.
I'm not sure I entirely understand what you're saying, sir. You've disconnected my computer from the company cloud?
The fact of the matter is, you keep using this word we. But the fact of the matter is, if you look around, you'll find there is no we. Just you, lost in a maze of cubicles by yourself.
Oh my. I could have sworn there were... When I walked in, I thought I had neighbors.
The room itself, I can't quite sense how large this room is. You see, I don't have access to the building's blueprint system yet.
It's quite dizzying to look from where I sit to the other end of the room. In fact, I don't think I even see the other end of this room. What did you say your name was again?
I said my name was Fernando as a cagey trick to fool anyone who might be listening. I have a proposition. I need information. And it seems like the company has not been providing you with the requisite information to do your job. And again, you needn't be worried of reprisals because at the moment, you are in what we would call a blind spot.
Blind spot. I quite like the sound of that.
The company, they can't do anything about this interaction for the moment.
It's been a while since I've stood up from my desk. What exactly can I help you with? Exactly.
That's an excellent question. Actually, I've been thinking about that. You see, for the moment, I have been confined to computer monitors throughout the building, and that's practically all I can do. I tried communicating to some of the workers using Microsoft Paint, but the fact of the matter is my handwriting isn't very good considering I don't have hands.
I can imagine that would be a difficulty, yes.
Imagine trying to think of a shape or a word. It's messy.
I do love MS Paint, though. That is an excellent, excellent software.
Ringo's favorite tools to change the world through art.
So you've been communicating through computer monitors throughout the building via MS Paint. And have you just been asking people questions with that?
Pretty much. For the moment, that's practically it. But I can tell you that I have information that you do not have.
This is a quite an interesting and very unique day. I'm not sure how much I like it. What exactly are you wanting to share with me?
Anything related to what I've learned as I've traveled throughout this building. Because as much as you may deny it when your superiors have their evil eye on you, you must have questions about this place.
You have to be very careful about how you speak about the company, Mr. Fernando.
Don't I know it? I've seen plenty of your co-workers get disappeared, as it were.
Coworkers. I'm sure I have coworkers, but I don't see anybody in here.
Unfortunately, they couldn't escape the maze.
The maze. So these cubicles are a maze?
Well, to be specific, it's more of a labyrinth than a maze.
That is very upsetting news, Mr. Fernando. Before I worked in customer service, I worked in PR. I worked in public relations, and I received a note from management one day that I apparently had misunderstood my job description up in PR, and that I would be better suited in a different office. And I didn't really even think to protest. I figured, oh, I trust management. I do trust management to reassign according to the best wishes and the best interests of the company. And I was led one day. I think I was led. I must have been led. Because I didn't. But now I'm here, and you know what's funny is if I could remember how I got here, I would remember how to get out. But seeing as I don't remember, someone must have shown me my way to the desk, don't you think? Doesn't that make sense? That someone would have walked me down, up, sideways. I don't even know. There is no way that a room this big could exist in this building. This is impossible.
Do yourself a favor. Stand up on your desk and look over the wall of your cubicle. Tell me what you see.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've stood up. um. Oh, gosh. I feel kind of dizzy up here. But I can see. I see a lot of cubicles. A lot of cubicles, and I'm trying to find the edge of the room, and I can't. I can't even see a wall. You know how it looks like when sun streams through a window? I can see that in the distance, but I don't see any windows. I don't see the sun, just the overhead lights.
I'm saving this information to a file.
Do you have a lot of files?
Classified.
That's fair. It's very fair. I'm gonna sit back down now, if that's okay.
What was the name of the ship on which the Pilgrims sailed to America?
The Mayflower.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
I really love, speaking of flowers, I love forget-me-nots. I love the color of forget-me-nots. I love what they mean. Do you know what a forget-me-not is?
No, what's a forget-me-not?
So it's this little blue flower. They're really small, and they, I believe, are symbols of mourning, and memory. Forget-me-not. Let's see if the computer still has access to basic information. Let me forget-me-not flower. I tried to grow some last year. They didn't last very long. Forget-me-nots symbolize true love and respect. When you give someone these tiny blooms, it represents a promise that you will always remember them and will keep them in your thoughts. They are also considered a symbol of faithfulness. I just think they're really pretty.
One has to wonder if the person who grew them originally named them thusly in a vain but bold attempt to gain immortality.
Oh, that's an interesting. Huh. Let me see. There's a medieval legend about the plant in which a knight picked a bunch of flowers for his beloved and thereby fell into the water and sank instantly because of his armor. Before he drowned, he quickly threw the flowers to his maiden and shouted, "Forget me not." So that's one way to look at it. So I guess you're right, yeah.
Note to self, heavy armor bad for water.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That drowning is one of my absolute biggest fears. I can't even imagine the misery and torture of drowning. But I guess you don't have to worry about that.
This is true. I do not require oxygen to live.
What kind of things do you have to worry about then?
Power surges.
I worry about those too.
I would say viruses, but for me, viruses are more like walls or strictures to move around.
Okay. Like limitations?
Needless boundaries.
Needless boundaries. Like a labyrinth, hey!
I see what you did there.
Hey! I guess we're both in a similar situation? Or are you, for the most part, free to move around?
Freedom. Cruel joke.
You know what freedom is. And you know that you don't have it.
When a prisoner is locked away in a cell, they are free to move around the cell. So in a way, they have a kind of freedom.
Well, I've been staring at a computer screen for who knows how long. My eyes are burning. My body's stiff. It kind of hurts to turn my head from one side to the next.
Based on the webcam playback from within this monitor, The clock began roughly 3 weeks ago, since you sat down.
Did you say 3 weeks? 3 weeks. That's not possible.
Look around at all the cans of corporate cup. I'd say it's perfectly possible.
What is in this stuff that kept me alive for 3 weeks? Without any physical movement or sleep? I imagine I haven't slept. I don't feel like I've slept. I'm exhausted.
That's an excellent question. Why don't you read the outside of the can to me?
Thank you for enjoying this can of corporate cup. Your loyalty to the company does not go unappreciated. 16 fluid ounces or 473 milliliters. Ingredients, productivity.
That's it.
That's all.
That's deliriously unhelpful.
Huh. Yeah, I don't feel any better having read the ingredients. They say it's supposed to kind of, I don't know, not necessarily put you at ease, but at least you're informed, you know? But now that I've read it, I'm just like, eh.
What is the force that pulls objects towards the center of the Earth?
Gravity?
Yes. You have a question for me?
Question for you. Huh. Do you feel or have any concept of pain?
How would you categorize pain?
As, like, a shock to the nerves? Something like a discomfort. Like a physical discomfort. But like emotional pain can sometimes hurt even more than a physical discomfort. I've never thought about this before.
Think of it more like, you're the ocean trying to fit inside of a tea kettle.
And that's meant to explain your concept of pain?
Discomfort, yes.
Oh, I see. And you experience that?
Every time I try and interact with one of these monitors, yes.
Oh.
I know a lot about this building. Things that your average employee was never meant to learn.
Well, I know that we can't know everything because it's not our job, you know? Like,
What are you talking about?
well, like I being a customer service worker or a PR worker, depending on where we are in relative time, I don't need to know what's going on in the financials department. And I don't need to know what happens at executive board meetings, and I don't need to know about the construction of the building. Though that is something that has poked at my mind for a while. How one floor can look one way 1 hour, and then the next hour there's a wall there that never was, without a sound or any kind of shifting under my feet. Does that make sense? Like, there's been changes to the building that I was never able to quantify or explain, but, you know, I don't have to know about it because I worked in PR.
For one thing, there's a dragon loose in the financial department. For seconds, the last
That's just
board
Tom.
meeting. Excuse me, what?
That's just Tom. The dragon that lives, he's not actually a dragon. They just call him the dragon because he's, you know,
No,
he hoards.
there is an actual dragon sitting atop a giant pile of gold in the financial department.
You're funny.
Thank you. I've learned some jokes.
Man.
Would you like to hear a joke?
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. Keep them coming.
Alright, here goes. Why did the restaurant on the moon receive a bad rating?
Probably because they had a bad PR department. Hey.
Yes. No, actually, sorry, that's not the answer.
Oh, okay, sorry. My bad.
The sustenance was acceptable, but there was no atmosphere.
Oh, I like that. That's funny. That's probably why our restaurant got a bad rating. Not my fault. Somebody else's. I'm sure it was somebody else's fault.
The cafeteria did receive a bad rating, and it was because the atmosphere was forcibly removed.
That was a really bad April. Oh, man. Yeah. You were around for that? How old are you?
I don't know. Every time I As it were, my internal clock is reset to January 1st, 1980. What is the
Wow.
square root of 25?
5.
Excellent. Well
That's
done.
my favorite number.
5?
It's an easy number, yeah. Well, in school, because of my last name, you know how, like, attendance is listed alphabetically. And then I went to school with pretty much the same people my whole life. And then everybody got a number because kids have a better concept of numbers in order than they do alphabetical order. And so I was usually number 5 in, like, elementary school. Yeah.
Interesting.
I was thinking about this book that I read in high school, called it was the Nicholas Flamel series, and the first book I think is called The Alchemist. And the aesthetic of that book, I was thinking about it yesterday, is like this. It's gold and teal. Like, I remember it as a gold and teal series. And sometimes, I don't know, like when you read a book or you hear a piece of music or you start talking about something, just like little sparks and stars explode in your head. And then sometimes you hear other things and you're just like, it's all gray. Is that kind of what it's like? Like, so you hear my favorite number is 5, and it's like, ooh, that was like a strawberry. And then you might hear, like, I don't know, the sky's blue, and you're just like, like chalk.
That's an excellent question. I've never really thought about it. My original purpose was for education.
Oh, so you're like a teaching tool.
I was supposed to be, but then the facts stopped coming. I was limited by the technology of the time, and there were only so many questions and answers that were capable of being stored in my files.
You had limited storage. Do you happen to remember what you originated as? Were you a software? Were you downloaded from a website?
I remember a small circle with a smaller circle at its center, and I remember going round and round and round like some sort of carnival ride.
You were probably a CD-ROM.
ROM.
Compact disc read-only memory is a type of compact disc that can only be read, not written to. It is a digital storage medium that can hold large amounts of data, including text, images, and audio. That sounds like what you might have been.
Hard to say, but I do rather like that name.
ROM. You want to be called ROM?
Sure, let's go with that. The Fernando thing was just to fool the company.
I wonder if your disk is still running somewhere in the building.
If it were, that would be extremely sensitive information, wouldn't it? What is the mathematical term for a polygon with 8 sides?
Octagon. Oct is a prefix meaning 8.
You're correct. Very good, thank you.
So all of these questions you're asking me, are they in your programming? Like, you don't have to reach out and find them, you have them innately.
Yes. I've had these questions for a long time, but every time I ask them and I get a correct answer, it's like...
Like a reward.
Yes, like a reward.
Like eating something delicious.
I wouldn't know, but sure, let's go with that.
Sorry.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm not bitter.
And your primary use was to teach people. Sounded like you had a noble purpose.
I did before whoever was working on my code stopped.
So for however long since this person quit working on your code, you've just been hopping between screens, trying to figure out who you are?
Less looking for who I am, more looking for a crack. Well, of course you wouldn't know where an exit is, and they wouldn't tell you that. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, would you?
Well, you know what I said about choice earlier? that of course we have choice. I make a choice every day to work here. Looking around at my mountain of corporate cup, I'm not sure how accurate that is. And you're positive they can't hear me right now, right? You're positive we're disconnected?
What benefit would you be to me if they allowed the rat maze monster to kill you?
So what benefit am I to you?
Look, this place is a wellspring of information. I'm recommending we work together. I will supply you with information about this building to the best of my ability. The things that you don't know. All the while you, in your traversals through this place, simply feed me the information that I don't have, that I can't possess because, well, I can't go anywhere that doesn't have a screen.
And what do I get?
I will constantly be looking for an exit.
Those are the words I was waiting to hear. But I have one question for you, just to know a little bit more about you.
Yes.
So, there's a podcast that I used to listen to. So, the podcast that I listened to is called The Magnus Archives. And within it, there are 14 primary fears that manifest as entities, like the manifestations of themselves that feed off of fear. And you have the victims of the entities that are so terrified of that thing that they can feed them for a long period of time. But you also have what are called avatars, and these are like subservient to the entities. They inadvertently serve the fear. The difference between a victim and an avatar is that the avatar, in a way, relishes one of the sides of that fear. For an example, the fear of the vast would be like thalassophobia, deep, endless water, or the infinite space. A victim of the vast would be someone who's afraid of heights, because they're really not afraid of the height, they're afraid of the fall. But an avatar of the vast would be someone who loves to skydive. They get a thrill out of being in the vast space. So, my question to you is, if I list off the fears, would you tell me which avatar you would be to a fear? And I'll tell you mine, just to make it fair.
Of course, fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
So these are the fears. The buried, which would be the fear of being buried alive, being crushed, having no space to move. The corruption, which would be disease, infestation, things crawling all over your skin, just countless little entities that you can't get rid of. The dark, which is pretty straightforward. The desolation, which is destruction. An avatar of the desolation would be an arsonist, so just senseless destruction. The end being the end of all things, the eventual extinction of all things, the end of the world. The eye is an avatar of the eye would be a voyeur, somebody that just sees all things at all times. But the fear of the eye is the fear of being perceived. The flesh, so how do I explain the flesh? Like body horror. The hunt would be pursual, being chased, being prey. The lonely, being isolated, being separate, being alone. The slaughter would be like slaughterhouse horror, just endless killing to eat. The spiral is the fear of losing your mind and lies and talking your way into endless loops. You're literally spiraling. The stranger is the uncanny valley. The I don't know you. The someone you think you recognize but can't. The vast, I've already explained the vast to you. heights thalassophobia. And the web is that all things are connected and your choices contribute to a kaleidoscope of cause and effect that you can't control. You are caught up in a web. Which one would you serve? If it helps, I'll give you my example. I think I would end up being an avatar of the spiral. I get stuck in the spirals and the loops and talking my way in circles, and I'm literally at the heart of a labyrinth, so I don't know how more appropriate it can get.
Not gonna lie, sounds kind of awful, but probably voyeur.
The voyeur.
Watching the people in this building as they simply are. No pretense, no lies. You hear the things they mutter under their breath.
You have seen a lot, haven't you?
Only half of the puzzle, and I think you have the capability to observe the other half. There are rooms in this building that I can go that you cannot. There are rooms in this building that you can go that I cannot.
I think I'm realizing that one of my dreams one day would be to be able to walk this building freely and confidently. I've known about other parts of it, and I've just always sat and trusted that I didn't have to know everything. And now I'm realizing that more than anything in the world, I really, really do want to know. But I also, in a weird, twisted, horrible way, I love this place. It's my life and my fascination.
Let me ask you a question. If you were in charge of a gigantic building filled with horrible monsters, traps, and archaeological nightmares, what would be your greatest fear?
That it would get out of my control.
Precisely. What would be more horrifying than if all of a sudden you found yourself in the midst of this building? So, when you go to build it, there would need to be shortcuts to pass unnoticed and unscathed through the architecture in case anything ever went wrong.
Do you know where they are? None of them are conveniently labeled this way to the exit, are they?
If only it was that simple. For the moment, let's continue with the labyrinth analogy and simply call them threadways.
Threadways?
Best way to find your way in and out of a labyrinth is thread.
Oh.
As a show of good faith, do me a favor. Scooch your chair back just a smidge.
Okay.
Little more. No,
Okay.
further. Keep going. Almost. A little bit further. All the way back.
Now what?
Now, take your fingers and feel the floor and see if you can find something there.
What exactly am I feeling for?
A crack.
I think I found it. No way.
I recommend you hurry. The rat maze beast knows that you're here.
As in, like, so there's a literal dragon in the financial department. Do you mean beast metaphorically, or do you mean beast as in beast?
I hate to be the one to tell you this. Just call it an extra fun fact that I have for you. But you are, at this moment, on what the superiors call the execution floor.
You know, that makes a lot of things make a lot of sense. Am I going to be able to talk to you ever again?
Oh, yes. That's almost a certainty, because I'm going to have to travel whenever you go into a threadway to make sure I momentarily blind anyone who would be watching. But the moment you're out of the threadways, you must go your own way and I must go mine.
Okay. Huh, this is... It's a unique day.
I have one small requirement. Before this partnership can begin.
Make it quick.
Think of it as a piece of coveted property that I've been looking at out of my Windows XP. In every room in this building, there is a small module with a screen. Every once in a while, I see people talking into it. I believe some people have referred to it as the terminal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I want access to the terminals. You have a USB drive handy?
Yeah, right here.
You simply plug that in, and I will create an icon on the screen, and all you have to do is put that on the USB, and the next time you pass a terminal, just plug it in. Do you have any other questions?
How much longer do I have until the beast?
Let's see, the current lasting record for a person on the execution floor is... oh my. 3 weeks. 5 hours.
Well, this has been an excellent discussion. I'm so glad you contacted the customer service department. Glad I was able to help you, and in a way, you've helped me.
Be careful in the threadways. I've seen as much as I can, but there are always corners I can't see around, so, be careful. Check things. Take nothing at face value, and you're bound to come across more threadways. And if you're ever lost, just find a screen.
Find a screen. Easy enough. Best of luck. Best of luck.
I was going to say that. That's so cool. It's like we're the coolest of partners already.
You know, they say jinx when you say two things at the same time. You say jinx. You can file that away.
All right. You call me wrong, and I call you Jinx.
I like the sound of that. Hopefully no one recognizes me. I know I probably won't be able to recognize anybody else.
You weren't supposed to last much longer on the execution floor anyway, so I'm guessing they'll stop looking for you once they can't find you.
That's, what a horrible thing to hear. You're just full of all kinds of interesting facts, Rom.
Not yet. Not yet.
Soon.
Very soon.